they're all kind of saying the same stuff. Nobody's explaining how it is that we got here. Nobody's explaining how it is that we're going to move forward. Nobody's thinking centuries ahead. Everybody's talking about 2 years from now or a year and a half from now, the next election. It's like, bro, if we learned anything from the Trump administration, 4 years of having one of our guys in office is not enough. And it's a fourth of the problem. So let's talk about that. The bureaucracy, the deep state. The deep state is comprised of all three branches of government, legislative, judicial, and executive, being consolidated into a single branch of government that is constituting a fourth branch of government. It's a bureaucracy. And this is what the founders defined as tyranny. That's why they split the branches up, because the crown owned judicial, legislative, and executive. They could write the laws, enforce the laws, and adjudicate the laws. Okay. That was tyranny. That's why the founders split it up and had checks and balances. Okay. The bureaucracy, these bureaucratic agencies, which there are over 500 of them that are in charge with regulating commerce. Okay. They write the regulations for commerce. In other words, they're writing a form of law. Okay. And then they have their own law enforcement for their agency that enforce those regulations. So that's executive. So now you got legislative, you got executive, and they have their own administrative courts that are outside of the federal court system. That's judicial. That's tyranny. Okay, that is, and it's these bureaucrats and these bureaucratic agencies that are colluding with corporate interest, international corporate interests, international banking interests to move money from public hands into private hands.
So I agree that most candidates are just talking about fairly superficial quotidian kind of things and not getting to deeper problems. But when it comes to the bureaucracy and this issue of unelected, unaccountable people writing most of the laws, I think most of the GOP candidates actually are kind of mentioning it at the very least.
But Trump, they're not explaining it.
DeSantis, yeah.
They're not explaining it, are they? No, they're just saying the deep state. We got to drain the swamp. Yeah, it's the deep state. Oh, it's the deep state. It's the boogeyman, basically. And it's like, well, unless you understand the root of the problem, and if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it fully. So these people need to explain simply, if they expect people to believe they can solve the problem, they need to explain simply what the problem is. And nobody's done that yet, that I can see. Okay? I just explained it to you in 2.5 minutes. Okay? And I can also explain to you how we can change it in 2.5 minutes. Okay? All you have to do is get enough people in the legislative branch to create legislation that either changes or defunds these bureaucratic agencies. Simple as that. And so that means you have to have somebody in the White House that is in agreement with that agenda, and you have to have somebody in the legislative branch, enough people in the legislative branch that are for that agenda, that see the problem and want to fix it. But the thing is that the people that are in DC that are representing the people are actually representing these corporations that are working with the bureaucracy. Yep. They're representing the banks that are working with the bureaucracy and the Fed. You see what I'm saying? So it's getting Trump in office in 2024 is only a fourth of the problem. Because if we don't have the Congress, then we don't have anything. It's a stalemate. And if we have the Congress and the White House, okay, that's cool. But how many people in the Congress are willing to dismantle the corrupt bureaucracy? Now, it's not all about defunding these agencies. A lot of it, what it's about is restructuring them, getting people like Fauci out and putting somebody in that isn't going to stand in the way of things like cures for cancer, isn't going to take all this public money and put it in the private hands of the pharmaceutical companies. You see, and that's across the board, is that there's people like Fauci in every single administrative bureaucratic agency.
So would you run for office?
You know, Gandhi never ran for office, and he did a lot of good. I don't like the idea of having to do all that paperwork. You know, they make it difficult on purpose. You also, if you're going to run for like president or something, you need to like spend like, I think it's like $100,000 to apply or something like that.
It's expensive to run.
Yeah. And I don't have that kind of money. You know, I don't. So what I want to do is I want to hold the people that are running accountable. And if they can't say what it is that I'm saying, then that is contrasting their legitimacy. If somebody that's wearing horns and face paint can understand the problems of the world and explain them more simply than somebody that's running for president, we have a problem.
I agree. That would represent a major problem. Jacob, it has been a great pleasure to get to meet you.
Pleasure has been mine.
Thank you
for
sitting down. Best of luck in all of your future endeavors, and I suppose we'll look forward to part 2 when you can speak more openly after this motion resolves itself, hopefully happily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
God bless.